Welcome to our my first YouTube live, and
I
thrilled to
think
have
mine
Rachel
too,
on.
actually. I think it's
Yeah,
my
welcome.
first
I don't
too.
know. We're just gonna do this, and just to jump right in and to really welcome Rachel. And we were just before we even got on, we were saying that it's real time and it's crunch time, and things are heated up in the world, in the north of Israel, where I live, where we're hearing nonstop aircraft and things like that. The world is shaking. The world is everything is moving. Everything is
Yeah.
moving, and to tell you the truth, I heard your Instagram live. We usually go once a month on an Instagram live, and it's great. It's amazing. It's tremendous that we just get like this concentrated like view of like kind of like you know Kabbalah and then astrology. So it's awesome. And then you said something there that something about the alignment was going to be very unique. That hasn't been that way for a long time. And I asked you, what was it? Well, what was it back then? She's like, never mind, never mind. Like, no. I've got to find out what it was in those years and back then, because now on Shabbat, on Saturday, we have this certain alignment coming up. So if you can tell us about that, that would be.
Yes. So first of all, I will say that whenever we talk about a planet like Pluto, that is the planet that I'm talking about, we need to understand that, even before I explain about Pluto, I want to explain that astrology, a lot of times people can look at it as something that, I'm sitting here and there's a shower of some sort that is coming in my way, and I have to deal with it, whatever it is. If it's difficult or good, I'm gonna sit and I'm a recipient of whatever the sky is bestowing, or God forbid, throwing at me, right? And the thing is really that astrology is never really about that, which means that even if we're in a time like we're this coming Friday night into Saturday, right? Like the Shabbat, it's on the energy of this coming Shabbat. The Pluto is going to make, it's called a conjunction, which means that it's going to be the closest, or like literally on the same, it's called in astrology degree, as the sun. But what's unique about that alignment? That alignment happens once a year. It's not something, but the degree, which is where the planet Pluto is stationed right now, is in 29 degrees Capricorn, which whenever you see that specific degree, 29, because every sign has 30 degrees, when you're in the 29th, which is the last degree, it means that we're changing eras. Things are completely shifting. Now, when it's 29 degrees has to do with a few things. It has to do, first of all, with karma, with things that are from previous lives. Because think that it's the last, which means that we get the last opportunity to correct that area. Now, because Pluto is a planet that has to do with the cycle of life and death, or if we talk about it in a more positive way, it's death and rebirth. We are actually in a point astrologically in the world, not only in our personal lives, that we're in a place that we want to get rid of what we don't want anymore in our lives. And we want to give birth to a new self, to a new reality in the world. Now, on top of it, we're headed on the 21st to Pluto moving completely to Aquarius.
And what does that mean?
When Pluto moves to Aquarius, it can cause unpredictable situations and revolutions. But we have to remember that even if it is something that appears as hard, or negative. And I want to say something before I continue, because you're dealing right now with the real sense of life and death where you live right now, because we heard what happened literally a couple of days ago, right, by a missile in the north of Israel. And what you're dealing with right now is a real fear of death. Chas v'shalom, God forbid, you have a family, God bless, and you're in an area that, like, what you're gonna do? You're either leaving your house or, but meanwhile, thank God you're not asked to do it. But the thing is that your your emotional place right now, it's very important to be careful of not going to the place of thinking of death or thinking of tragedy or thinking about, oh, it's going to be a war now, that like the war of Armageddon, and because of course we can go there. And we also know that, like, before, because we are like 200 and something years before the 6,000 year in human, according to the Jewish calendar, and we know that in the 6,000 years we're in the complete age of Mashiach. We're moving to a whole different realm, right? It's the Shabbat of the thousand years of Shabbat. We're in a place now that we're really asked to get ready for it. And if you're doing your spiritual work, we are in an era with Pluto moving to Aquarius that you're going to be able to see miracles.
Wow.
You're going to be able to see things that didn't make sense to you that are possible.
Wow.
Possible. You're
Why do
going
you
to be
say
able.
that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Why do you say that?
Because Aquarius is energy of the unlimited. Aquarius is the energy that is beyond physicality.
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius is an energy that has to do with the upper worlds.
Mm-hmm.
When Pluto moves to that sign, and again, even if there were certain wars or revolutions or different things that were very aggressive, they always at the end of the day yield, like what they yielded at the end of the story was a positive change, because the energy of Aquarius is always about eventually bringing humanity to its next level, to being
Wow.
closer to the Creator, to being closer to our what is called tikkun olam, like the correction of the world. So, as you know, according to Kabbalah, the times of Mashiach are, they're considered not the easiest times. But we have to remember that even though some of them are not, yes, there's a lot of scary things in the Zohar about it, but we can also be in a place that we understand that if we do our spiritual work, the days of Mashiach, the days that are bringing Mashiach, don't have to be chaos that is like pain and suffering. It can be a time that we can see the Aquarius miracle, which is what? Being able to control reality with our thoughts.
Wow.
Being
Wow.
able to see miracles
Wow.
just because we thought about it. It's like the energy of Aquarius is to know that what looks to us irrational, illogical, impossible,
Mm-hmm.
it can all happen beyond our logical mind. So it's a very important thing in our time not to fall into the doomsday way of thinking, which means
Yeah.
that if we listen, if I may say something personal to you, because you're a Virgo, and Virgos are very about like understanding. You're very smart people, but you also want to understand what's coming. I would say to you, my dear friend, you have to drop the Virgo-ness, connect
Yeah.
more to your Sagittarius-ness, which
Oh
is
yeah.
really the understanding that I don't have to understand what it's going to be. I need to know that I'm getting to a time that because of all the spiritual work that I do and because of all the good that I spread in the world, it's my time to shine right now. Because the age of Aquarius is the age where physical things are going to slowly be, we're going to be able to see how, it's like, I think we talked about it, how ridiculous is what's happening in the world, and how, like, you see things and you're like, no, it doesn't make sense to me that people believe it. I mean, come on, it's like, it's completely against any
Yeah,
rational way of thinking. Like, it's the weirdest thing. And what, the world is going backwards? Like, people all day long talk about like human rights, and now it's different for the Jews or for the Israelis or whatever we feel in that process. But when things like that happen, it's just because there's a higher opportunity for us in that story, and it's a higher opportunity for people like us that we feel an obligation to bring spirituality to the world and light to the world. And that's what the world needs right now. The world doesn't need people that are gonna sit on TV and analyze how it's gonna happen or not gonna happen, who's gonna kill, who's not gonna kill, how we gonna get the hostages, how we're not gonna get. It's like, this is a place that we that we're not army people. We need to do the spiritual work.
totally. And I find myself going back and forth in the need to understand and the need to analyze or to have things like make sense on some level, and then just coming back and forth and realizing it's not about making sense. It's about what kind of deeper conviction am I not just like living in from a place of fear, but living in of seeing like, oh, this is it. This is actually it. This is what was intended. This is how
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be. And I was taken aback when you were mentioning like that you were saying that there's the idea of the letting go, of things, and then the embracing, and that's coming, and that's coming up on this Shabbat, which actually corresponds with Yud Shvat, which is the day of the Yortzeit, the Ilula of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, where he wrote a very important treatise called Bati Legani before he passed, where he says that the whole purpose of existence is Bati Legani, like in Song of Songs. God wants to be in this garden, and the whole world is the Garden of Eden. And there's 20 chapters where he goes into it in great depth. And then the Lubavitcher Rebbe actually took the mantle of leadership on this day, Yud Shvat, which corresponds on this Friday night. And every year of 20 years, the Rebbe would go and take another chapter and would expand upon it in great depth. And it's super beautiful and deep and profound and Kabbalistic. And this year's chapter corresponds to how the light, what it says in Tikkun Nizar, goes all the way down to the lowest of the low. That the light goes to the highest of the high, or in Sof, the way that it says, or in Sof, lemala mala ad in ketz, ulemata mata ad in tachlit. That the light, that when we look at darkness as if darkness, and darkness is included in all the news that we consume and all the fears that is there, that there's really light in there, that there is the light, which is this constant light. And wow, letting go of this perception that darkness and evil is a reality that is real. And
Right. But you know what I feel? I feel that like a lot of times when things are so weird, so like it's almost like a way that the creator and the universe are trying to show us like it's an illusion. You
an
see? You
illusion.
see? It's like you're in a world that is olam shekel. You're in a world that is the world of lies. You have to remember that if you try to deal with the world of lies in the realm that is that physical level of darkness, you're not, you can try, I mean, you can get scared, you can go, that the way to understand or to connect to my power, my strength, my positive side is many times going against what we see in reality. And when we see it, and listen, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that sometimes I'm not looking outside and I'm starting to say, wait a minute, I mean, what's going to happen in a few years from now? I need a plan to get out of here and make go back to Israel because of this feeling of the illusion. But I'm also saying, like, I think in times like that, it's also an opportunity. Yes, Pluto is a planet that is a generational planet. It's related to everyone, but there's also a personal work there. And I think that the personal work, at least for me, but I'm sure you feel it too, and whoever is doing spiritual work right now, it's to really go deep into myself and see what is really my truth and who am I for real, and how do I identify myself, and how do I bring light and positivity to the world, and how I am an ambassador of light rather than being a person that sits and says, oh, when is the next thing, when is the next shoe gonna drop over on my
When's the
head,
next
right?
rocket? When's the next rocket gonna fall?
Right, listen, you are, don't get me wrong, when you are in a physical place of worry, it's very, very hard to remember that. But we have to remember that at the end of the day, people think that in that pyramid, first it's like your physical safety, but actually,
It's this.
it's really the spiritual safety first.
I'll
It's
tell
first
I'll
the
tell
connection with the creator, right?
I'll tell you a story. I was by this Shabbat. I went to the Baba Sali in Netivot. It was his day of passing. The Baba Sali was a great Kabbalist and a holy person and holy man, one
Yeah.
of the holiest of the generation, whose blessings really have materialized in so many ways. Um, so we went there with a group of us went there for Shabbat, because on Saturday night, on Motzei Shabbat, was his Hilulah, the day of his passing, and we went and we visited there after Shabbat. And during Shabbat, it was just a beautiful, beautiful Shabbat. We had just like an amazing experience. And we went there and we prayed close to where he was, and we were sitting there. We were celebrating the Shabbat, and and then we found out that they really were planning. It was basically 3 kilometers from the border of Gaza. That's how far it is, and it's the northern part of Gaza. And they were planning on shooting about 40 rockets into the celebration on Saturday
Right,
night.
Netivot, I just
Netivot.
remember
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was foiled because we could say by chance, by fluke, by coincidence, these soldiers, Tzanchanim, they found a whole bunch of these propellers ready to go on a timer, and they got it, and they basically, it would have gone into crowds, 40, 50 of them. It was completely a miracle. And then the
Wow.
day afterwards, because they got it wrong on some level, while after all the crowds left, then they shot another 50. Well, what I'm saying is that, like, we went there, and I wasn't thinking, oh, there's going to be, but what is going to happen or whatever it is. And obviously we were hearing booms going on, from the border all the time. But we were connected spiritually. And I think
I
that,
love it.
that strength, like, creates like a ring, like of protection. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
I so think that this is one of the biggest lessons of everything that we're going through now, that like to be together as people, to see that we're united, and even globally, like to care for the whole world, to care for each and every one of the people of the world, to understand
yeah,
what's my responsibility towards everyone in this world. It's not just my family or my people. It's everyone. And as you were talking, I remember, so in the Moreh Nevochim, in the how do you say it in
guide
English? The
guide
guide to the
guide to the perplexed.
perplexed. It says that like the Rambam is talking about the fact that like the Creator, the way that we can be saved from situations that are like, let's say there is a chas v'shalom, a boat that like needs to drown. So how is the person that like has all the miracles? What does it mean that God is just saying, Amichai, I'm gonna save him? No, it's because when you're connected to the wisdom of the Creator, when you allow yourself constant through spiritual work, through sharing, through personal work, what happens is that when we bring our consciousness to the consciousness of the Creator, that connection is going to also put us in the right place in the right time. So I think for you, besides the fact that, yes, I'm sure that Tzaddik protected you and everybody that was there. But I think that also for you, because of your spiritual work, you're protected. You're protected from being in situations like that. And I think that it's something that, listen, you live in Tzfat, which is one of the holiest places in the world. In Israel, but in the world,
In the
right?
world, yeah.
And you do your spiritual work constantly. And I think it's right for all of us, whenever we really want to know, how do we protect ourselves? Are we protecting ourselves with having more insurance, or with having more protected rooms? Or are we protecting ourselves by making that connection to the Creator? And I think that this is that Plutonian change, because we're moving from Capricorn, that is very related to how do I take care of the physical things, to Aquarius, which is very related to how are we doing things in the upper worlds. And for me to understand that if I want protection, I need to connect my mind, my consciousness to the mind of the Creator. And how do we do that? First of all, with learning, with connecting to whatever feels right to us spiritually, but more than anything, by becoming like the Creator. And how do we become more like the Creator? By sharing, by going out of our comfort zone, by koach itnagdut, by restricting. Everything that has to do with becoming like the Creator is going to create that assimilation, and that's what creates the real protection. And I think that this is a big thing that like is a good thing to do while we're changing signs with Pluto. And what do we want to leave behind? We want to leave behind that Capricorn fear, needing for things to be safe, needing for things to be logical, needing for things to be what you see is what you get. No, there are things that I don't see, and I can still get that protection by, doing the spiritual work.
Melissa, hi. No, this man is. I wasn't by the drunk immodest festival in Re'im. No, that wasn't it. Thank God. I was by a very holy festival of the tzaddik of Baba Sali in Netivot. So yeah. Wow. So when you were saying that, Rachel, connecting to the Creator means also being put and facing ourselves very much. Like we have to face ourselves, and facing ourselves means letting go of those parts that are not don't serve us anymore as individuals.
Yeah.
That they're there and they've been there for such a long time. And I've felt this a lot this week with like really deep old patterns, and I was like head to head with certain people and certain things.
Absolutely. Also fears. Capricorn is very fear related. Capricorn is very ego related. Where is my ego, or my stubbornness, or my judgment? Where am I judging other people? That a lot of times, to be in a place of compassion, even if it's something that is not what I believe in. A lot of times we see people that do things that for us, we're not going to do it. It's not our way, or it's not our belief systems, or we look to live a certain way of life. But the real spiritual work is actually to be in compassion with
Exactly. To be
everybody.
in
It's
love.
it's
Exactly.
very
Understanding.
love
Exactly.
to
Like
choose to choose love for no reason rather than
Mm.
hatred for no reason, right?
Exactly. Even the drunk immodest festival.
Yeah,
There are people there that were big souls, and we don't understand.
right,
Um,
right.
but letting go of things and of traumas and of patterns that are there that have been
Yeah,
so much. I'm feeling that a lot. These couple
this
of
week
days and
and
leading
this
up.
week it's leading us
It's
to
leading.
that change that is coming on the 21st, because it's almost like now we have an opportunity to really leave it behind. That's it. This is a Shabbat
Wow.
that in this Shabbat you say, that's it. I am working on my judgment. I'm working on my ego. I'm working, I had a thing with my daughter the other day that, my daughter and I have a very good relationship, but sometimes as mothers and daughters can do sometimes, we step on each other's toes or whatever. And I had a thing with her, and one of my think how I grew up was like to say, you know what? When she needs something from me, she's gonna come. Now she doesn't want to talk, but let's see what happens when she needs something. And then I was like, listen, you have an opportunity here to change something. What does it mean when she needs something? You're going back to how you were raised. Like when you need something, you're gonna no talk. If something hurt your feelings, discuss it. It's like it's important for us to see through what's happening around us. And I have to tell you that I spoke with my daughter because of that. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to let my ego be in the way for me to move to my next level. It doesn't even have to do with like my relationship with my daughter. My relationship with my daughter, Baruch Hashem, is good. It's really about me and how my ego is directing me, or if I'm letting my soul part direct me. So this is really what it's about. We're removing everything that is old fashioned me to a new me. And this is really that Aquarius.
That
And the more people that do it, the more we're gonna influence the world. That's what we
totally,
want to understand.
totally. So
Funny, I just got
what
a
are
text from my daughter. Her ears
what
were burning. Probably.
what are you going to release? What are you ready to let go of? Um, you or
I'll tell
me.
you. So I feel like
Mhm.
for me, really a part of my resolution, my Pluto resolution, the Pluto in Aquarius resolution, is to really think bigger. Like, even though I do things that are like, I do work that is global, I'm doing the best I can do, but even to push myself there from a perspective of responsibility, like to understand that it's not just me doing something because I want to give service to the people that are following me, because I really take it from a place of responsibility. I have a spiritual responsibility to bring wisdom. And again, I do one-on-one work, but for me, that Aquarius energy is about thinking bigger in that perspective. Melissa said she's releasing Lashon Hara. That's very, very good thing. I love it. We should all do that too, right? Yes.
To holding on to things, like overly holding on to things, holding on
Yeah.
to like grudges and like not releasing, not forgiving easily when something,
Mm.
or holding on to like, and it's just like a makeup of growing up, makeup of like also being a Cohen, and makeup of being, and it's just the opposite, just because really on a spiritual level, it's like there is so much love,
Yeah.
but there's that part of us that's just like, no, like let me hold on to this pattern. just you, like
Right.
at the end of the day. Whereas just if we could be in compassion and in that place of love, just like releasing that need to like hold on to something which comes from a broken place. It comes
Right.
from this.
But I
It's
think when you also understand where it comes from, I think that the part of a spiritual work is also to say, like, let's say, for instance, if I hold on to a grudge, it's because somewhere I want to protect myself from people
right.
doing it to me again. So if I
Yeah.
want to protect myself, by holding a grudge, it's going to always remind me. But if I
Right.
say, you know what, I trust myself that if I see somebody coming to harm me, I'm going to know next time. Or I trust the creator that with the more I do that work of connecting my sechel, my brain, my wisdom to the whole wisdom of the creator, I'm going to not need to go through life lessons like that because I'm going to learn what I have to learn. I think at the end of the day, we all, I mean, unless somebody is a really evil person, which we're not talking about people like that right now, we're not there. We all come from a place that, like, we feel we need to protect ourselves,
Right.
or from a
It's,
broken place of like
and
being
especially
injured.
as being children and being, holding on to different, realms of just protecting ourselves
Yeah,
from, so it's really coming back to like this inner child really work,
yeah,
that when we can release that and then trust the creator, trust Hashem, and realizing like that bigger picture is really there, that
yeah,
it's way bigger than protecting myself from survival. It's like, actually, it's not just about the survival, it's about the thriving. And like coming full
yes,
circle to what you were saying at the beginning, with the time that we're in right now, where we're worried about survival, but the truth is that it's an illusion, because right now we need to really be embracing thrival, right?
wow,
you
I
know
love it.
it's and that is the war, that is the victory. The victory is
Yes,
the thriving, which is,
right.
in that mamar, in that discourse of Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak. He says that's called shtut, that's called folly. There's two types of folly: shtut, the shtut of kedusha, there's a folly of holiness, and there's the folly of the other side, the folly of, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and there's one below the seichel, but one below the mind, and one above the mind. So the shtut of kedusha, which the boards in the tabernacle in the Mishkan were called atzei shitim omdim. They were trees of shtut. They were trees that were embracing the shtut of godliness that went into the tabernacle.
But what does
And
it mean, shtut? Like, because shtut is like silliness. So what does it
silliness.
mean to have silliness that is holy? Like, it's just to
So
take things easy and not take it too
it's
seriously?
it's to dare bravely. It's to trust God in a real way, right? In a kind of like a Sagittarius way, I guess you would
Yeah,
say, and that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
shtut, right? Or for each person, their manner of like jumping beyond what you think is possible, that you think
I love it.
is possible for you, and you're holding on to
Like
like, no, no, no.
illogical.
It's
It's like not by logic. Yeah,
to what is, and what is
I
beyond us
love it.
is way greater than what we're trying to protect. And what we're trying to protect is like peanuts
Wow. So
compared to what
crazy.
really is.
You know, it's also to understand that what we see and looks to us so real and so scary. You know how they say that when a righteous person leaves the world, he looks at all the things that he did, all the mountains that he climbed, but they look to him like a very small thing, and when a not righteous person leaves the world, all those little things look to them like it's mountains. And I think it's really what it's about. It's to understand that a lot of times when we worry about things, if we can just say, I find it very empowering when you go through something and you say, it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. There's a lesson for you to learn right now, and that's what it's about. Don't make it
Yeah.
what it's not. It's
Right.
like I feel like that the understanding that we are in an illusion, and to remember that as much as it feels very real, we're still in an illusion. Everything is illusionary. Is a very it's that's to see the nonsense or the shtut. I love it. So
Yeah.
Saturday is Yud. It's the 10th of Shevat, which is the death anniversary. So we have like a really, really powerful
Very powerful
opportunity.
day. And it's the day that the Lubavitcher Rebbe he took on the mantle of
Wow. And
leadership on that day. It's,
look at what came out of it.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
even, think about it. When, even if, like, let's say you start a business and you start it in a certain day or a certain hour, that's the birth chart of the business. So the birth chart of Chabad, the way it is now,
yeah,
is Yud Shvat. Think, right?
exactly.
So if it's like the way, and look what it does. It's like everywhere you
Crazy.
go in the world, you know that if you want to do Shabbat, you have a Chabad house, right? And they're
Amazing.
doing so much good in the world and
Amazing.
help so many people because, and what is the
My
seed level?
son, is in the Philippines now on a private island for a whole group that took him there. They flew him down there. He's been in more countries in the world than me. It's
Wow.
a gorgeous private island, white sand, and there's the Chabad there that's like doing the whole thing. They had a private jet take them there. I'm like,
Oh
not
my
bad.
God. That's amazing. But that's what it's about, right? It's like when you think about the energy of Shvat, which is the energy of Aquarius, everything is possible. Caring for the world, thinking big, changing things globally. Chabad really changed the world in a lot of ways with the way that people have that accessibility, with the fact that everyone can go there, that you don't have to be a certain sect or a certain, you can cover your hair, you cannot cover, can do whatever you want, right? So it's a very, very cool thing. I know that it's
Yeah.
getting late there for
Yes,
you.
yes, yes. So thank you so much, Rachel. And I just want to
Thank
leave
you.
off on the following question for all of us, anyone that's here that's listening. Right now we're approaching this great day, this big day, this awakening that's really happening for us. Hashem, God is awakening us. What is your release? What are you ready to let go of? What is
Yes.
not serving you anymore? Right? What is just not it's just reaching a dead end, and you keep on trying to like go at that wall, and maybe one more time, no, one more time, next time it's gonna really just go, and it's like the same thing. And it's like, when could we say, I want to let go? You want to let go for a long time, but when could
Yeah. Yes.
in the universe, that God, that Hashem is just wanting us to embrace, to to open up to that, not just AI, artificial intelligence, but to the GI, right? To the godly intelligence
I
that's
love it.
there, the
So
godly
good.
intelligence that's here within us.
Yes, that infinite power. Thank you and have an amazing night and many, many miracles coming only miracles to all of us.
I mean, well, we know that miracles are reality. So may we all embrace that as our reality.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.